Hello, American patriots. Are you a supporter of the Second Amendment? Are you a responsible gun owner? If so, then you know the day will come that you're going to need a trusted and qualified gunsmith. When that day arrives, I want you to contact the man that I trust with my weapons, Mr. Delaney Jackson, owner of Jumpin, Gunsmith, and Appraisal. Besides being a professional gunsmith, Delaney is a true American patriot. And, a little trivia for you, he's also the manager and guitar player for country music legend Mr. Mark Chestnut. So when the time arrives, take your weapons to the man who treats my weapons like they're his own, my trusted friend, Mr. Delaney Jackson at Jumpin, Gunsmith, and Appraisal. Contact information and website information is in the description of this video below. Thank you and God bless.
I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello, American patriots, and welcome to another episode of the Douglas Ducote Show. You had many places you could be tonight, such as over at Douglas Payne's channel, but you chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. Before we get into tonight's show, I would like to take a moment to discuss some comments or information that's come my way. Let's put it that way. Where some people that are subscribers of mine have reached out and said they're willing to go to North Carolina and take care of this parasite, Douglas Payne's, aka Glenn Ray Hyder. They did the same thing that anybody else can do, which is just look his name up in an internet search base and get all of his information. Here's the deal. I do not condone violence against anyone unless they have physically hurt you. I do not want anyone going to physically take care of anyone else. If anyone was going to go to North Carolina and do anything like this, it would be me, because I'm the one that's being attacked, and my special needs son and my wife. So I don't need anyone to go do that. I do not wish any harm to come to this lowlife parasite. So don't even go there. Don't even think about that. Let him spew his shit. I have many ways of taking care of this problem, which we've already got started with the campaign here, where I've asked you guys to go to his YouTube channel and report him for hate speech, and also report the channel for attacking special interest groups or groups that you're not allowed to attack. Report the videos, report the channel. That's all I'm asking you to do. Doing anything other than that, don't even think about it. All right, that aside, let's start into tonight's show with a little bit of sad news. An American hero by the name of Herschel Woody Williams, the last living World War II veteran Medal of Honor recipient, has died. He passed away yesterday at the age of 98. His foundation, Woody Williams Foundation, announced his death in a statement. Today at 3:15 a.m., Herschel Woody Williams, affectionately known by many as Woody, went home to be with the Lord while surrounded by his family at the VA Medical Center, which bears his name. Williams' death comes less than 2 days after his family released a statement announcing he was in the hospital and welcoming prayers on his behalf. The family did not provide details about his condition. Williams was born in 1923, enlisted in the Marine Corps Reserves in 1943. He served in Guadalcanal, Guam, the Battle of Iwo Jima in World War II, where his heroic efforts were recognized with the nation's highest honor. President Truman awarded him the Medal of Honor months later on October 5th of 1945 for his actions. On February 23rd, 1945, during a push into Japanese territory aimed at wet and muddy conditions unfavorable to heavy military equipment, Williams was tasked with taking out reinforced concrete Japanese pillboxes using a flamethrower. For more than 4 hours, Williams pressed on under enemy fire and successfully destroyed 7 pillboxes, returning to American lines only to refuel his flamethrower. 2 of the 4 riflemen covering him were killed. On one occasion, he daringly mounted a pillbox to insert the nozzle of the flamethrower through the air vent, killing the occupants and silencing the gun. On another, he grimly charged enemy riflemen who attempted to stop him with bayonets and destroyed them with a burst of flame from his weapon. Williams' Medal of Honor citation said of his heroic efforts: his unyielding determination and extraordinary heroism in the face of ruthless enemy resistance were directly instrumental in neutralizing one of the most fanatically defended Japanese strong points encountered by his regiment and aid vitally in enabling his company to reach its objective, the citation added. In a 2011 video describing his efforts, he said, "Don't ask me how I did it. I don't know. I don't have any idea how I did it. I never got touched. They never got me." Until his death, he was the only surviving Marine from World War II to hold the Medal of Honor. General David H. Berg, Commandant of the Marine Corps, released a statement yesterday recognizing Williams' death. On behalf of all Marines, Sergeant Major Black and I are heartbroken to learn of Woody's passing. From his actions on Iwo Jima to his lifelong service to our Gold Star families, Woody has left an indelible mark on the legacy of the Corps. As the last of America's greatest generation to receive the Medal of Honor, he will forever carry with us the memory of his selfless dedication to those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our great nation. The Marine Corps is fortunate to have many heroes, but there is only one Woody Williams. "Simplify, Marine," Berg said. Williams retired after 20 years of service in the Marine Corps and the Marine Corps Reserves. He also served as a veteran service representative with the Department of VA for 33 years. Through his foundation, Williams helped establish 103 Gold Star families memorial monuments throughout the U.S. Herschel Woody Williams, may the Lord welcome you home with open arms and comfort your family and friends. Thank you for your service. We got it from here. Simplify, brother. Continuing on with the VA, some more disturbing news about the VA. And this is reported by AmericanMilitaryNews.com. A Veterans Affairs employee was captured on surveillance video, brutally beating an elderly Vietnam vet at the Department of Veterans Affairs clinic in April, according to shocking video revealed this week. Philip Webb, age 73, was attacked at the Fort McPherson VA clinic in Atlanta, Georgia. On April 28th, according to WSB TV, video of the beating was released on Monday by investigators reporter Justin Gray. On Twitter, he obtained the video via the Freedom of Information Act request. "I obtained the Freedom of Information Action surveillance video of the brutal beating of the elderly Vietnam vet by the VA employee at the Atlanta VA clinic. Was first to report on the attack last month. The attacker, Lawrence Gillard, is still employed by the VA. Lawrence F. Gillard Jr., the VA employee who brutally beat Webb, was arrested and charged for the attack, according to WSB-TV. Gillard was still employed at the VA despite his arrest for the brutal beating. For them to let him come back to work, that's dangerous, Webb said. The video shows Gillard putting his finger in Webb's face. Webb tries to push it away, at which point Gillard aggressively shoves Webb against the wall and chokes him using both hands. Gillard then flips Webb over a chair, slamming him into the ground before stomping on his head. He kicks Webb in the head a second time and slowly walks out the door. WSB-TV reported that Gary shoved Webb footage of the assault, but the veteran said he couldn't really remember what occurred, even though they showed him the video. Webb told the outlet that he was trying to notify Gillard that he was going to the bathroom just before the attack. Webb had been waiting to schedule a hernia surgery at the time. I guess he got upset because I knocked on his door, said Webb, who spent 3 days in the hospital after with a bleeding brain from the assault. The initial charge against Gillard was filed in federal court, but the U.S. Attorney's Office dropped the charges due to justicial issues. The Fulton County District Attorney has taken over the investigation. We are horrified at the video of a VA employee assaulting a veteran at the Atlanta VA healthcare system on April 28th, the VA said in a statement. This disturbing behavior is contrary to our core values of treating veterans with dignity and respect they deserve. We take this matter seriously and will cooperate fully with the Fulton County law enforcement. Well, that's all good. Let me suggest to the VA, based off of just the video evidence, you need nothing more. Fire the son of a bitch. And you can go to, let's see. You can go to Gary's Twitter account. Let me back up and find exactly the account so you can go watch this video if you want to. Justin Gary is a reporter. So if you go to Twitter and you look up Justin Gray, Justin Gray, Gray, on Twitter, and you can see the video there. I watched it myself, and it was very, very disturbing. There's a whole bunch of horror stories out of the Atlanta VA that I could share with you, but we don't have time to go into that. There's a big problem there, and it seems like every month something new happens. It's just outright wrong. Also, as reported by AmericanMilitaryNews.com, as many as 14,000 Army National Guard troops around the country could soon be kicked out of the service for refusing to take the COVID-19 vaccines. That's right. A year into this, from when it was mandated that they have to have it, and we've got 14,000 Army National Guard troops that said, I'm not doing it. This move could come even as the military has struggled across the board with recruiting and maintaining its force size goals. On Friday, the Associated Press reported that up to 40,000 Army National Guard soldiers, about 13% of the armed guard force across the country, have not yet taken the COVID-19 vaccine as mandated for the whole military. Of those 40,000 Army Guard troops, around 14,000 have outright refused the vaccine and could be among the first to be kicked out when the Army's Guard's June 30th vaccine deadline passes today. While 14,000 vaccine refusers are at risk of being kicked out of the Army Guard, the service has struggled while keeping up recruiting and would maintain their goal force levels. All U.S. military branches have struggled with recruiting this year, including the Army National Guard. As of June 15th, the National Guard Bureau reported it had reached 48.1% of its recruiting goal for 2022 fiscal year. They didn't even meet 50%, much less 100. The National Guard Association of the United States reported. The Army now has just 3 months to meet its recruiting goal for the fiscal year, which will end on September 30th. And I can just about guarantee you they won't meet that goal. The Army Guard has fallen behind its recruiting goals in the past. It's reported the service has not met its recruiting goals since 2019 and only reached 80.6% of its goal in 2021 fiscal year. While recruiting has lagged in other recent years, it's reported the Army Guard has been able to make up the difference in its overall force size goal in the past through excellent retention, in addition to the 14,000 Army Guard troops that have flatly refused the vaccine. Another 7,000 troops are still waiting a final decision on the request for religious exemption to the vaccine mandate. Army Guard Director Lieutenant General John Jensen has vowed the service will try to exhaust its options before potentially separating thousands of service members. We're going to give every soldier, every opportunity to get vaccinated and continue their military career, Jensen told the Associated Press. Every soldier that is pending an exemption, we will continue to support them through their process. They're not giving up on anybody until the separation paperwork is signed and completed. There's still time. This past Tuesday, Representative Thomas Massive, Republican Kentucky, who has been a vocal critic of the military-wide vaccine mandate, criticized the news that the Army Guard may ultimately go through with separation and separating thousands of its troops. It's political purge, plain and simple, Massey tweeted. At this point, there's no scientific reason for mandating a vaccine based on COVID strains that are now 3 years old. Nearly everyone has natural antibodies to the newer strain due to exposure, he said. And I don't know anything about that, what makes him a specialist on COVID or doesn't make him a specialist on COVID, but that was his tweet. On Monday, the California Attorney General's office confirmed that it leaked thousands of gun owners' private information, including their full names, race, and home address, according to firearms publication The Reload, who first reported the leak. It's also been reported in the San Francisco Chronicle, and the AP has picked up the story. The California Department of Justice launched its 2022 firearms dashboard portal, which included 3,625 files with personal information of concealed carry permit holders. The database revealed names, races, home addresses, dates of birth, and dates that a permit was issued. Well, I guess the only good news about this is it tells the criminals who the hell to stay away from because they're going to get shot. Other than that, it's wrong to dox them. The information also revealed the type of permit that was approved and whether the holder was a police officer or a judge. Well, that doesn't make any sense right there. Let me just put it this way. All police officers are authorized to carry their weapons off duty, as well as judges at all times, even in their chambers. The Reload reported the public could initially download the private data, but the information was apparently no longer publicly accessible by today. We're investigating exposure of individuals' personal information connected to the Department of Justice firearms dashboard, a spokesman for Attorney General Rob Bonta told the outlet. Any unauthorized release of personal information is unacceptable. We're working swiftly to address the situation and will provide additional information as soon as possible. The leak comes after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled last week that it is unconstitutional to require gun owners applying for concealed carry license to prove that they have a worthy need to carry guns in public. We know of no other constitutional right that an individual may exercise only after demonstrating to government officials some special need, Justice Clarence Thomas wrote in his opinion. This is not how the First Amendment works when it comes to unpopular speech or the free exercise of religion. It is now how the Sixth Amendment works when it comes to a defendant's right to confront the witness against him, and it is hard for the Second Amendment to work when it comes to public carry for self-defense. California Rifle and Pistol Association suggested that the leak was intentional, slamming the Attorney General's office as vindictive, sore loser bureaucrats. Vindictive, sore loser bureaucrats have endangered people's lives and invited conflict by illegally releasing confidential private information, Chuck Michael, CRPA president, told the Reload. He's working with several legislators and sheriffs to determine the extent of the damage caused by the Department of Justice doxing of law-abiding gun owners. Legation is likely. Earlier this week, Bono addressed in a press release that the dashboard was created to improve transparency and information sharing for firearms-related data. Transparency is key to increase public trust between law enforcement and the communities we serve. As news of the tragic mass shootings continue to dominate the news cycle, leaving many with the feeling of fear and uncertainty, we must do everything we can to prevent gun violence. One of my continued priorities is to better provide information needed to help advance efforts that strengthen California's common sense gun laws, he continued. Today's announcement puts power and information into the hands of our communities by helping them better understand the role and potential dangers of firearms within our state. That's horrible. But that's California for you. And I wouldn't expect any different from same kind of information to come out of Oregon or Washington State or New York, you name it. These next three stories from AmericanMilitaryNews.com is something you need to pay close attention to. You need to read between the lines about what is about to go down. It's kind of scary. It's a little long, but you're going to get the message. Joe Biden committed yesterday to bolster the U.S. military presence in Europe by adding more troops, fighter jets, and warships, and setting up permanent headquarters for units already in Europe. Speaking at a NATO summit in Madrid, Spain on Wednesday, Biden said the U.S. will establish new permanent units in Eastern Europe as well as additional rotational units. While some of the changes will reposition U.S. troops already in Europe, the decision will also add new U.S. troops to the continent. As part of the force increase, the Biden administration with Spain on an agreement to station 2 more destroyers in Rota, bringing the total from 4 to 6. A U.S. Guided missile cruiser or missile destroyer includes a crew of about 300 people. The U.S. will also deploy 2 squadrons of F-35s to the United Kingdom and RAF. The Department of Defense said on Wednesday it will have 1 additional rotational brigade combat team in Romania. Brigade combat team represents a force of about 4,000 to 4,700 personnel. This new BCT adds 1 more in Eastern Europe compared to the U.S. force posture numbers released back in January. The new BCT will be able to deploy its subordinate elements throughout the eastern edge of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO alliance. The B Corps headquarters forward commander post, which was already in Poland, will now permanently position itself there. This force will be able to manage command and control capabilities with NATO and manage of pre-positioning military equipment and supplies in the region. The Department of Defense said the U.S. military will continue to maintain and seek to enhance its rotational units in Poland, which already include armored brigade combat teams, combat aviation brigade elements, and division headquarter elements. The Department of Defense said the U.S. will also enhance its rotational elements for armored, aviation, air defense, and special operation forces in the Baltic region. The U.S. will also forward station an air defense artillery brigade headquarters, a short-range air defense battalion, a combat substantive support battalion headquarters, and an engineer brigade headquarters in Germany. These units represent a force size of about 625 military personnel. Subordinate battery of the short-range air defense battalion being deployed to Germany will split off to deploy in Italy. In addition to these new units and the changes in the U.S. force posture comes as the U.S. has already increased its troop presence across Europe to more than 100,000 personnel since Russia invaded Ukraine. Now, do you see where we're going with this? It gets better. It was not immediately clear if some of the additional changes in force posture would entail bringing additional U.S. troops to Europe and moving around those already on the continent. During a Wednesday press briefing, Assistant Secretary of Defense Castellwander said, "I can't get into the total numbers that would add up for more of the force posture decisions, nor where they're coming from for security and operational planning reasons. I think we'll be able to give numbers in the future as we, identify the specific units. The force posture change will take place over the coming months, but at this point, we can't really give you specific numbers of any of the questions, I'm afraid." All right. So I just shared with you what Joe Biden is about to do over in Europe. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, is preparing to increase its high alert force size to 300,000 troops in response to Russia's military aggression along the eastern edge of the alliance. At a press conference this past Monday, ahead of a summit of alliance members in Madrid, Spain, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said alliance members will discuss ways to bolster their defenses in the eastern flank of the alliance, including increasing troops. At the summit, we will strengthen our forward defenses, Stoltenberg said. We will enhance our battle groups in the eastern part of the alliance and bring up to brigade levels. We will transfer the NATO response force and increase the number of our highly readiness force to well over 300,000. Increasing the NATO response force to 300,000 troops is a major mobilization move from current levels. The current consists of only around 40,000 NATO troops. So we're going to go from 40,000 in this response team to 300,000. The plan laid out would therefore require nearly 8 times as many troops from NATO member nations to be moved into its high readiness force. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, around 70,000 troops to over 100,000, some of which are part of the NATO readiness force. The force built up comes as Russia's war in Ukraine has entered its 5th month, and Russian officials have repeatedly threatened to attack NATO members if the alliance intervenes on Ukraine's behalf or the conflict spills over into other parts of Europe. In addition to the troop buildup, Stoltenberg said NATO members will also boost our ability to reinforce the crisis and conflict. He described members pre-positioning equipment and military supplies into stockpiles and adding more forward deployed capabilities like air defense systems. Stoltenberg said NATO will set up forces that are pre-assigned to defend specific allied nations, he said. These troops will exercise together with home defense forces, and they will become familiar with local terrain, facilities, and our new pre-positioning stocks so that they can respond smoothly and swiftly to any emergency. Together, this continues the biggest overhaul of our collective deterrence and defense since the Cold War. And to do this, we will need to invest more. Stoltenberg said to date, 9 of the 30 NATO members now meet or exceed the 2% of gross domestic product target for defense spending. He said another 19 members are on track to meet this spending target by 2024. But, Stoltenberg added, 2% is increasingly considered a floor, not a ceiling, for defense spending. Stoltenberg also said NATO members will make progress on processing the NATO applications of Finland and Sweden, which could add to the military capability of the alliance. And Russia is on record saying that if NATO allows Finland to go and become a member of NATO, or Sweden to become a member of NATO, or Ukraine to become a member of NATO, that they're going to attack them as well. Yesterday, you may have heard, it's reported on just about everybody. Fox, CNN, I'm not sure if MSNBC did it, but ABC, CBS, NBC, put out some information that Russia has picked targets that they're going to hit first if they have to go nuclear. They did not mention anything in America. And I think they did that for a reason. But they did say that Italy is gone. That's one of their first targets. Now, the final story of these three that lock all this in that I just told you is published by Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty. And this is the big key that you have to pay attention to that fits right into those other two stories. Why are we doing this massive buildup? NATO has declared Russia the most significant and direct threat to its members' peace and security, a Moscow's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. There it is. The Western Military Alliance made the declaration in a statement as its leaders met in Madrid on June 29th to confront what NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg called the biggest security crisis since World War II. NATO's declaration underscores how dramatically Russia's invasion of Ukraine has unsettled Europe's post-Cold War security order. The alliance also promises to step up political and practical support to Ukraine in the face of Russia's invasion. Stoltenberg said Ukraine is fighting for its independence, but also for Western values and security. But Ukrainian president, in a video addressed the summit, cited NATO for not embracing its embattled country more fully and asked for more weapons to defeat Moscow forces. He said NATO leaders that Ukraine needs more advanced heavy weapons and additional financial support to stave off Russian invasion, warning that Moscow ambitions won't stop with his country. We need to break the Russian artillery advantage. We need much more modern systems, modern artillery, he said during the summit, adding that financial support was no less important than aid with weaponry. This is not a war being waged by Russia against only Ukraine. This is a war for the right to dictate conditions in Europe for what the future world order will be like, the Ukrainian president said. The statement also said that NATO leaders agreed on June 29th to formally invite Finland and Sweden to join the alliance after Turkey struck a deal with the duo to drop its objections. Today, we have decided to invite Finland and Sweden to become members of NATO and sign the association protocols. A declaration from a summit in Madrid said, Russia's war in Ukraine raised fears in Finland and Sweden, prompting them to seek to join the 30-member alliance. Finland, along borders with Russia, means the Russian NATO border will expand dramatically. Finland and Sweden applied to join the military alliance last month, but their bid was held back by Turkey. Which has accused both nations, particularly Sweden, of offering a safe haven to Kurdish militants who have been waging war against the Turkish state. Stoltenberg also said he expected a swift ratification of Sweden and Finland joining the military alliance. Unanimously, consent is required for NATO enlargements. U.S. President Joe Biden thanked Turkish President for dropping his opposition to Sweden and Finland membership bids. At the same time, a Pentagon official signaled support for Turkey's plan to purchase additional F-16 warplanes. So that's how it got dropped, if you haven't figured that out yet. Here, we'll give you some new F-16s. Let these two countries become part of NATO. Stop fighting it. They went, okay, we take the F-16s. Chelsea Wangler, Assistant Director of Defense for International Security Affairs, told reporters on a conference call that the U.S. Department of Defense fully supports Turkey's modernization plans. Turkey is a highly capable, highly valued strategic NATO ally And Turkish defense capabilities, strong Turkish defense capabilities, contribute to strong NATO defense capabilities, she said. A plan to equip Turkey with F-35 stealth fighters fell through after Turkey sought S-400 anti-aircraft missile systems from Russia, which the United States considers a threat to the security F-35 program. Turkey then set out to buy new F-16 fighter jets, as well as upgrades for its existing fleet of the same planes. But that purchase was put on hold. Biden said earlier that the United States has strengthened its military presence in Europe in the face of new threats processed by Russian invasion of Ukraine. Biden said the alliance will strengthen in all directions across every domain, land, air, and sea. Biden said at a meeting with Stromberg that Washington was boosting its fleet of U.S. naval destroyers from 4 to 6 and would establish a permanent headquarters in Poland for the 5th Army Corps. It also is sending an additional rotational brigade to Romania, consisting of 3,000 fighters and another 2,000 personnel combat teams, and will enhance rotational deployments to the Baltic countries. Biden said 2 additional squadrons of the F-35 stealth plane will be sent to Britain, and more air defense and other capabilities will be placed in Germany and Italy. We're sending an unmistakable message that NATO is strong, united, and the steps we're taking during this summit are going to further our argument and our collective strength. Biden said it means it when we mean it when we say an attack against one is attack against all, he told reporters at starting of a work session of NATO leaders. So let me sum that up for you. Since the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, actually leading up to it, and after it happened and during it, I'm on record explaining to you all that basically here's World War III. We're in it physically. It's the world, with the exception of Iran and North Korea, and a few other small, horrible dictator countries, the world against Russia. Russia is making more threats of nuclear attack because they've got nothing else they can do. They're losing the Ukraine war by fighting it with their conventional forces. It turned out that their conventional forces aren't shit. If this action of Russia would have taken place, let's say 30 years ago, it would have been over with in 24 hours. But the fact that this is dragging on months later and they still have not taken over the country when they're right there, they don't have to deploy troops somewhere. They just drive right down to the fucking border and do what they got to do. So what's that tell you about their defenses? All that being said, they have nuclear capability. They have the same capability that we have when it comes to nuclear weapons. They have a dictator, and that dictator is going to save face somehow. And I firmly believe he's going to strike out with nuclear weapons. That's just my inside feelings based off of everything I know and everything I studied about Russian military doctrine when I was coming up in the military ranks. I trained, literally, we trained to fight a war against Russia and die because it would end up being nuclear if that was to happen. So Vladimir Putin is up against the wall right now. And to the world, he knows he's looking really weak. This isn't the kind of guy you want to gamble with. This isn't the kind of guy that you want to just shake off and say, the hell with him. His forces can't even take Ukraine. They can just sit outside and shell cities and kill innocent men, women, and children, which they're doing a damn good job of. So we keep putting more and more equipment, supplies, and military personnel in Europe for the purpose of hopefully deterring Russia from attacking them with conventional weapons or nuclear weapons. And I don't see it being conventional weapons, considering that their conventional weaponry isn't working. NATO would freaking destroy that shit in a heartbeat. NATO has the capability to literally take care of anything Russia can launch conventionally. But when it comes to nuclear weapons, the first person to fire one, it's going to turn into a global nightmare because it won't stop there. If they attack any of the NATO countries, we are obligated to retaliate. And that, my friends, sadly, will be the end of civilization on planet Earth because it's going to be an apocalypse. It's going to be devastating. It's going to destroy this planet. The Cold War is back. It's in full force. We are actively, along with all of NATO, supplying weaponry and different types of technology to include military advisors to Ukraine, who is fighting a war against Russia. So we're all involved in this. This is World War III. How it ends, nobody knows. But I don't like what I'm hearing coming out of the Pentagon. Don't like what I'm hearing coming from our leaders and leaders of the other NATO countries. Just the fact that they see what I've been saying for a while. This is about to get stupid. And if it does, well, hope you're right with God, because that's the last effort you got. You don't survive a nuclear war. No one will. It's sad. So, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope that I'm able to shed a little bit of light on some of the things that are happening across the globe right now. Pay attention. Be ready. Watch your six. Not for a nuclear cloud, because that won't do you any good. It'll be over with at that point. But you can always do what the government said you could do back in the 50s in the event of a nuclear attack. I think they all the way into up until the 70s, I believe they said this. If you're a child and you're in school, in the event of a nuclear attack, crawl underneath your wooden desk, put your hands above your head, and curl up like a little turtle. That's only going to let you burn faster because the wooden desk is made out of kennel, and nothing's stopping a nuclear attack from killing you. Although it's been put out by members of this current administration, which we joked about not too long ago, it really isn't all that funny, that you need to get your COVID shot in the event you have to end up in a fallout shelter because of nuclear war. That's right. They said that. That's how, just look, of all the times in history for us to have a weak, senile leader, it happens to be now with a threat of a nuclear war. I'm just, it is what it is. Midterms are coming up, and then 2024, and we'll see. I do believe it's going to be a red wave, and then I do believe it's time when that happens for us to be responsible to stand up to our members of Congress that we put there, hold them accountable for their actions, and make damn sure that this time, when the Republicans gain back the House and the Senate at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, they actually freaking do something instead of sitting on their dead ass and doing nothing unless it favors them. We sent them there to work for we the people, and that's what they need to do. And there's no other substitute for that. Thank you. God bless you. Please subscribe to the channel. Tell everybody about the show. Share the videos. This one will be up shortly as a regular video once this live program ends. Also, go to DouglasDucote.com if you haven't already done so. Check out the website and other videos that you can't see here because, it's not politically correct. And again, I will close with what I started with. I don't need anyone physically fighting my battles. I thank you and I welcome you to help me go report YouTube channels that are saying horrible things about my wife and my special needs son. But when it comes to physical violence against those people, I'm all against it. I do not want you, anyone, to go over and hurt this man. Don't do it. And if I find out who you are, other than just a screenshot name from YouTube or wherever, I will report you because this is wrong. I don't wish the man dead. That's between God and him. What he's done and what he said about my family, God will take care of that. Karma will take care of that. And the justice system will take care of that because there is a bunch of things happening as I speak to take care of Glenn Ray Hyder legally. And that's how conservative Republicans handle business. We don't just go out and physically hurt someone. And if I needed somebody physically hurt, I'm not going to ask anybody to do it for me. I'd do it myself. And that's something I don't plan to get involved with because I'm a law-abiding citizen. The only way I advocate that violence is okay is if you're physically being attacked. Then all hell breaks loose. So stop with the promises or the suggestions to go take care of people because I don't think that's a good thing. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders and their families, our Angel families, our Blue and Gold Star families, and our country. May God bless the United States of America more so now than ever before. We need God's intervention. Have a blessed night. Have a blessed upcoming 4th of July weekend. Be safe wherever you go and have fun. I'll see you again next Tuesday. Same bat station, same bat time. Take care, everyone. God bless.